Hello there, this is Alexander Hall for Viva Voce Week 3. So, already on to autumn term 1 of Year 2 from the 2018-2019 academic year, and I am going to be talking to you about the little things that we are going to be discussing, particularly for this week. So, the new skills that I developed throughout Week 3. So, I learnt a lot of things such as events and intentions, which is something we did in Leanne's class on Friday. So we had to work around the particular events that are going on in a play and what each event is affecting on the character. And then we had to worry about the character's intention. So their intention over another character or an intention over a particular event, which is how they all kind of mash together. And we started to use examples from Wastewater, which is Simon Stevens' play that we're looking over for this term while we're working towards our monologues, etc. So, and we also worked on articulation exercises with Carly in our singing lessons. So we had to kind of really tense the back of our jaw and try and keep our mouth open wide as much as possible, giving out vowels and consonants. So in some sense we had to go like ta. So, ta. So consonant on that. So trying to work on how we pronounce our consonants as much as possible. So we use that. And that's pretty much the new skills and techniques that I learnt throughout that week. And the other question that we have is talking about my next university or next drama school, in a sense, which is probably the right thing to call it, and what the audition process is from my recent research. So the two main colleges or drama schools I want to go to for next year is Arts Ed or Central. So with Arts Ed, their audition process is it's a little different to what Central's like, because I think what Arts Ed do is, because I want to do a musical theatre course, is they're very keen to have very solid dancers, just then solid actors and solid singers, because musical theatre dancing is a very key occupation to take on if you want to be a musical theatre artist. So in some sense, what they say in their audition prep is to prepare one contemporary monologue. So that can be something which is not in a film script, because they say nothing from a film script is allowed, because they want to see how you play a character as from a play, because they want to see what your play technique is like, not your film technique, but your play technique more than anything, because there's the difference between being theatrical and being on screen. And they also ask you to pick one classical monologue, so it's from William Shakespeare, but they ask to be very picky, not to go for overdone ones. So big examples would be Romeo, well, Romeo, where art thou, Romeo, or even to be or not to be, that is the question, because they are the most popular and people get really bored of the same phrase, and it just makes people think, why did you choose those? Choose something underrated. Go for something that's underused. That's pretty much what the directors want you to do. And also they ask you to prepare one musical number, which is either one that you particularly want to do, so it's one that that you've known, and one that's you're passionate about. And so it could be something from, I don't know, it could be Kinky Boots, it could be from Thoroughly Modern Millie, it's up to you, but as long as it's not something from Les Mis or Phantom, because everyone chooses those, and They don't like it when they do that. So yeah, any musical number which is not overdone, which is underdone in a way, but one that you particularly feel keen to do. The other one, and also they ask you to do a classical musical number, so something that's before the 1960s, so it could be something from Oklahoma or Carousel. So in the example, Soliloquy from Carousel is a great example of a good classical musical number to go for, especially if you're doing solo. So yeah, and they also do dance workshops. So actually, and I only found this out today, that there's 2 stages when it comes to auditioning for Arts Ed. The first stage, you have to do like a dance workshop, and you've got to kind of you've got to know like the simple terminology, so things like plie and tendu, you've got to know those right in your head, and that you can just play around with it and just learn the choreography very quickly. So they look for how snappy you are with learning a choreography, and how you can just easily possess your characterization with your dance and just play it off. And yeah, that's the first part of the audition. They ask you to dance, because I think, yeah, a lot of dance workshops, they really have to be very careful about that, because sometimes I think it's maybe down to the fact that they are looking for fitness as well. So they do that first, and then after that stage, if you're successful in the dance and you've not been thrown out, which could happen, because if they're not satisfied by how well you're doing, they'll just say, "I'm sorry, but we can't carry you on, and you can't go into the course." So if you're successful in your dance, they will ask you to have your 2 prepared songs, which is the classical musical number and one of your choice, as long as it's not overdone, which has to be nothing from Les Mis, nothing from Phantom, so yeah, anything apart from those, do those. Then after you've done that, if you're successful in that stage, you then have stage 2, which is on another day, so it's not on the same day, it's at a different time. But yeah, the whole audition prep for stage 1, I think it goes on for a full day, so it starts from 8 in the morning all the way to 6 in the evening, so you have to audition the whole time. And they'll see how much stamina you have to hold in that much for a full day like that, because Arts Ed have very tight timetables where you have to really consist for a whole day. Even when you're tired, you have to really fulfill that energy. So I think that's what also they use that audition prep for, to see how well you can fulfill your energy for a very long space of time. And yeah, so on to stage 2 of the audition prep for Arts Ed, you have to come back in, do another dance, because I think it starts to get bigger and bigger, because once you progress from stage 1, they will ask more pickier. I think they asked for more pickier casting directors to pick out anything, and that's where it gets more competitive, because you've already gone through one stage where you're in front of thousands and thousands, and they start to decrease and decrease and decrease, and it gets more competitive and competitive. And then if you can succeed in that, they will ask you to have 2 prepared monologues, so 1 contemporary and 1 classical. And then if you're successful in that, you're in. If you're not successful, you're out. So yeah, it's one of the most compelled and probably the most precarious audition process that I could probably think of, and I know it's going to be really terrifying when going into it, but all I can do is just be myself more than anything. But yeah, and the other college and the other drama school that I want to go to is Central, which is like in London, so it's like the same area as Arts Ed, apart from the fact it's not on the same underground service. But yeah, with Central, what they do in their preparation is they require a bit more of your acting and your vocals. Even if you want to go into musical theatre, I think what they look for is pretty much something that all musicals require: good vocals in terms of singing, and a good and good acting. So how to be so theatrical on stage, because those are key. Even if you're not a dancer, they might, in a sense they will ask you to dance, but they might try and see where you come from in dance. So I think with these, you have to come in with 2 classical monologues. So, and they have to come from the list on the central website when you're looking through the audition prep. They have to look at all the different classical monologues they want you to go for. If you go for one that's not on the list, then they won't accept you. So you have to make sure that you pick what they have required you to learn. And then after that, they will then ask you to pick one musical song. So you have to do a musical song. Again, nothing overdone, no Les Mis, no Phantom, something that is underdone, so one that's underused. So it can be ones that undo, which is Thoroughly, Modern Millie, What Do I Need With Love, or Soliloquy from Carousel. Then they ask you to pick a song out of your choice. So it can be a musical number, it can be a pop number, it can be a rock number, it can be absolutely anything. As long as you know the lyrics, they will say, please come in with that prepared. So those are the 2. And then after that, I think after you've done the whole audition prep, I think they move you on to doing probably a dance workshop then another day later on, and see how you do in that. But as long as you have those 2 strengths, they will probably accept you. So I think Central's more of my kind of college that I probably want to go to in the future. But I can give Arts Ed a go, but who knows. Then next thing, what were my strengths? So I've got 3 strengths that I'm going to capture. Making an original character. So the thing is, when you're asked to play a particular character, what a lot of directors look for, I mean, of course, they're going to direct you, but what they're really looking for is how you can perceive your own character from what you think of them, instead of copying another person's trait of a particular character. So if in the event, if it's not an original script, if it's a script that's been done before and which has become very commercial, where you can go on YouTube and find all these kind of people, and you're taking inspiration, but you're taking it from your own background. So you make your own biography, you get the idea of what you think about the character, and you start to make your own opinion, and you just play along with it. Those are the kind of actors that casting directors are looking for. They're looking for those who can use originality and use their original feelings for the character and use that in a way to perceive their performance. And if you're just copying other actors who have done this before, then they'll just think you're just being plagiaristic, and you don't want to be called for plagiarism, because you don't get far in life if you're doing that. So that's one thing that I've really started to get strength into. The other strength of mine would be not overthinking the simple intentions. So in events and intentions, which we do on Friday, the thing that I know really well is to not overthink things, especially if you're being given a circumstance and you are you know the character's likes, the character's dislikes, who they like more, who they like less, or who they hate completely, or who they dislike, all that kind of thing. And when you know that there is someone in the room that you might think is not your kind of cup of tea, and who's that character from the play, you just play with it, and you kind of try and work it out, and you just work with it and just do the research. Sometimes trying to find the simplest traits can actually make you effective. If you overthink it, it doesn't make you a great actor. It just makes you look like an absolute. It just doesn't make you that good and effective. So the one thing I know is keeping it simple. Keep your intentions simple. Don't overthink it. Just read through the script, understand each part, and once you familiarize yourself with the script and you know you know, like your words and all that kind of thing, and you know how how every character is perceived, then you're fine. So just keep it simple. Know every single destiny that each character has, and know your destiny. Once you know that, keep it simple. Just play with it. Play with it and see what happens, because rehearsals are there to help you to keep improving your improving who you are when you're rehearsing that particular character. So yeah. The next one I would say is keeping my taps short and simple. So in tap, most of the time I think what Stevie's always said to us is try and not just skip further ahead than everyone else. Sometimes keeping your taps short and simple can actually, and also that makes the quality of your tapping a lot more effective. If you just go boom, it just makes it too loud and everyone goes, ah! You know, so I think the one thing that I'm doing a lot more of in my tap lessons is taking smaller steps, and that way, you know, it will hopefully improve the vibe of how we do our tap, because tap, everyone's going to be hearing your shoes while you're dancing. So the one thing that you've got to remember is having good feet and having good rhythm. And when you have good rhythm and you don't overthink it and you don't take too many long steps, the quality of your tapping is going to be sensational. And even if you're not a top-notch tap dancer, keeping short taps will make it seem a lot more easier than it looks, and that way it makes it less is more. So yeah, the things that I could do better, I struggled a lot with being very picky with the events and intentions. So what we did right near the end of the events and intentions lesson is we were asked in a pair to look at some of the areas where the events change. So we were given a page where there was all these different intentions going on, and finding out when the event changed. And the thing that got to me quite a lot was that we, you know, on each paragraph there was an event change, and I started going, whoa, okay, you know, that's not technically really a change. There might be a little change, but do we really need to be that picky? Because, you know, it's a bit unnecessary to do that, when all you need to know is know the change, how you speak. If you can read the script and you know each time there's a change, then it's absolutely fine. But if there's not, just don't really overthink it. And I think that's what these kind of exercises make you overthink your characters and overthink the plays, because what you just need to do is keep it simple and keep your traits simple and not overload yourself, because if you overload yourself thinking too much, it drags you down, and it drags your whole understanding of acting down, and it will make you not as much of a good quality actor, because, you know, what you need is less and better quality, and that's the way it goes. So actually, and in a sense, the less quantity of knowledge you have, the more quality your acting's going to have, and that can actually help. So yeah, and also maybe another one would be, for me, familiarise myself with directive vocabulary. So in Gary's session, what happened to me was, when I was playing the lover boy, what happened to me was I kind of got really quite confused about some of the directions that Gary was giving me. So at one point I forgot how to take the arm off Eloise's, how to take the arm off of Eloise when she was putting her arm on my shoulder as part of a romantic trait. And I got really quite confused, because I thought, Gary means just put the arm on her shoulder. No, off, and that kind of thing. So I think the thing that I am trying to make sure that I keep clear about is making sure that I make sure that her arm, and try and remember all the directions that Gary's given me. So yeah, I just need to kind of get more clear with some directive vocabulary, because if I go out into an audition and a director is saying that particular bit of vocabulary and I'm going, I don't know what you mean, then that wastes time, and then they'll think, oh, you haven't been learning, have you? Right, go, please leave. So I need to get more familiar with that, in a sense. So yeah, and the last one will be, for me, would most certainly be work on keeping my arms still in dance. So in Hayley's lessons, one thing that I was doing quite a lot was I started flapping a little bit when we were doing the step, kick, kick, leap, kick, touch. And then, of course, I kind of started to fool my arms around when I was doing other particular dance routines when doing the I Hope I Get It choreography. So I think one of the things that I need to do is really try and keep my arms as solid as I can and really grip them as if I'm like angry, because that way it will really kind of keep them strong and keep them solid, especially if you're holding on and you're going, it might make it a lot more sharper. So that's something I can look out for. So how am I going to improve for this week? So I'm talking from Monday the 1st to the 5th of October. So how am I going to improve? So go to Gary and ask him for like particular key vocabulary that I need to remember for future screen acting auditions, so I can get myself familiar with what to expect when it comes to an audition, and just know like the simple little directions that I'm being given, so I'm not confused out of the blue. So there's gripping my arms a lot more to improve the routine of a chorus line. So as I said before, keep my arms as gripped up, so try not to be too tense, but kind of keep them really strong so it kind of holds them in, especially if you're walking and you're trying to walk. Maybe make it look like as if I'm a penguin when I'm walking down, apart from the fact that my knees wouldn't go But yeah, just keep the arms as still as possible and keep them solidly still as well, because that way it will hopefully improve the way I walk and the way I kind of do my dances as well, especially if your arms aren't as key as your feet, because I Hope I Get It is very key with your feet, because especially at the beginning when you're doing step, kick, kick, your knees are really key to keep in time, and your arms less. So I need to try and make sure that I hold my arms together so I don't overthink it. Right, so that's me done for this Viva. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.